Welcome to the Light Shine podcast. I'm your host, Autumn, and this episode is very special to me because today's guest is someone that I actually tried to keep my distance from in the beginning. This episode is really special because it just goes to show you how people come into your life and you can have plans, but God can have other plans. I met this person at work, and in a previous life of mine, I had a work bestie before, turned friend outside of work that didn't end so well. And so when this person came along, I was like, boundaries, because they reminded me so much of someone from my past. But like I said, God had other plans, and this person is so special. She's beautiful inside and out. She has an amazing work ethic, and she's just destined for great things. So I'm so excited for you guys to meet Mariana Ramirez.
Thank you so much. That was really sweet. See, now I understand why everyone's like, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry because your intros are so beautiful. And congratulations, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Like, as fast as I can.
That's why we have the tissues right there.
Exactly. But thank you so much. And it's crazy enough how you started off by saying someone that you wanted to keep your distance from, because I wanted to ask you that question. Like, I remember our first conversations, and I felt that boundary that you had, and I respected that because I've been in so many situations at work where you befriend someone, or there is, a relationship that kind of comes from it, and sometimes it doesn't end well. So it is hurtful. And to come around full circle and to be here now and to have the connection that I have with you is really important and super special. And thank you for mentioning that, because I wanted to say that, like, do you remember when you told me that you didn't know if you could trust me or how this relationship was going to go, and to keep that boundary? So,
yeah. It's so crazy. I mean, I don't know if y'all can see, we're sitting here with little matching necklaces on. She got me the A. She has the M.
The M, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wanted to keep my distance from you, but honestly, what sealed the deal was when you texted me that Friday last year, and I had recently joined a new church out here in LA that I knew God had called me to, and I knew I was supposed to be there. And you weren't necessarily new at the job. You had been there a couple of months at that point, but I was still like, you're cool, but boundaries.
Right.
And she texted me on a Friday, and she was like, hey, do you know Dr. Matt? And that's my pastor. I said, what? It took me a minute to respond because I was reading her text message over and over again, like, why is she asking me that? It's so strange. Come to find out, you and your fiance know my pastor from back in the day because you all used to work with him.
Yes. That was the full circle moment that for me was also, this wasn't a coincidence for us to be in the same space together, or as Cameron likes to say, sharing air. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Just referencing back, if you guys haven't seen her other podcast, please go do that right now and come back.
Watch this one first.
So that full circle moment was my fiance, Philip, had met Matt years ago, back in 2018, I believe, 2017. And they had a partnership where, Dr. Matt helped Philip kind of get some more commercial accounts, and Philip was growing his business, and they reconnected because Philip was looking for someone to help him with some accounts that he had. And Dr. Matt came to him and said, if you're still looking for someone, I would love to connect you with this person. We all met. It was great. And he asked me what I was up to. And I said, actually, I ended up going back to BT and I work on the plus side. And he's like, somebody from BT just joined our church. And I'm like, who? And he said, Autumn. And I'm like, wait, what? To me, I was a little taken back because we literally sit next to each other and we're on the same team. We're on the same, aside from being on the same team, we literally sit next to each other. So I was like, and me and Philip in that moment, we looked at each other because he was like, whoa. And Dr. Matt was like, well, what's going on? I'm like, no, that's my coworker. Like, we sit together, like, we're on the same team. I'm like, she's my manager. Like, we're all together. And he's like, oh, wow, yeah, she just joined. Super great. And just said wonderful things about you. And in that moment, I'm like, I need to text her because I always say this. I don't believe in coincidences. Yeah. I believe in just the way things are supposed to happen. And in that moment, to me, it was really trying to understand, why am I back in this space? And, back in a space where I'm connected with new people, but also creating stronger relationships than I did in my past.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it was one of those moments. And I love that because it felt like everything was just connecting, because I was trying to understand where I was. And there's so much going on in life, as you know. And in that moment, to me, it felt, okay, I am on the right path with the connections and the people that are in my space. And I need to just foster those relationships and see what comes out of it.
Yeah. I felt the exact same thing, because I was in a season where all of my friendships were rocky. And when you texted me that and told me that you had that connection to Dr. Matt, I literally just felt like I could take a deep breath and woosah. I was like, all right, God, she good. She good with you. She good with me.
Right. Right. And not only that, back to what you just said about, you were in that season of those relationships. And I remember I told you something at work when you asked me, like, oh, what do you do with your friends? And I'm like, I don't really have any. And your main thing at the beginning was like, should I be concerned? Like, why doesn't she have any friends? I'm like, it's not.
Mind you, I didn't have no friends either. So.
Right. So here we are in this space where we have no friends, and we're trying to understand if, like, we should be friends. And now, but yes, I explained that to you, and I confessed, just like I do with everyone when they ask, like, what do you do on the weekends with your girlfriends? I'm like, what girlfriends? I don't have any friends. I was like, and I'm okay with that. Like, sometimes you get to a space as you get older and you become more wiser and knowledgeable about this, where you take a step back and you say, you know what, it's okay to sometimes go and do things on my own and not have to necessarily beg people to hang out with you, when you should walk into spaces where you're welcome and accepted versus being forced to be liked. And
yeah,
that's where
all of the above.
Yes.
So crazy. And it makes me want to ask you, because I actually interviewed you for the role.
Yes.
And like, when you were going through the interview process, did you ever think that we'd be sitting here on a couch like this?
No. No, because when I spoke with you, I immediately texted someone else that works with us. And I'm being so truthful. I texted her and was like, hey, is she going to take advantage of me? Like, I work really hard and I love what I do. And when I start something, I have to really see it through, and I have to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can. Wherever I'm at as far as work, I always try to bring the best version of myself. And, once the clock hits 6 o'clock, I'm back to what I'm fulfilling in my life. And so when we met, I immediately texted her and said, hey, is she good? Is she going to take advantage of me? Like, I want to make sure I'm not in a space where I'm going to be, taken advantage of and be treated poorly and have a toxic work environment. And she immediately said great things about you. So I'm like, okay, great. Because I've known this person for years and she knows how I work. And we go back to like 2015. So in that moment when she texted me, I felt also a sense of relief. And this was before even working with you or knowing that I was going to join the team.
You have just such an amazing work ethic. Like, I don't think there's anyone else who could have filled the role in the way that you do, even though you came in with like no PR experience. Like, you're
Zero.
killing it. Once every few weeks I send her the "you're doing amazing, sweetie" gift, because you're killing it. Like, you have
Thank you.
Amazing work ethic. Where did that come from?
Wow. Thank you so much for that. That came from, let me take a deep breath and really think about that one. Life. No, it really came from just an overall learning curve of being in the industry and then switching out of the industry into something else, and then coming back full circle with this new mindset and knowledge to put into practice. So as I've told you before, and a lot of people should know this about me, if you know me, you know me, I worked in tech for some time, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't know if I've told you this before, I wanted to work in tech just out of pure watching movies, like the movie The Intern with Vince Vaughn. And that honestly was the only reason. I'm like, that would be so cool to like work at Google or Facebook. Like, I wonder what that would be like. And always having this little itch in me to be like, can I do it? Like, I didn't go to a 4-year university. I don't have this like college experience and, the bachelor's degree. I have work ethic and experience. And so taking on that challenge of wanting to work in tech was probably one of the biggest parts in my career, I would say, because it really shaped me to have such a stronger work ethic, aside from being this person that is just doing what she's being told, but also taking initiative and giving back to your team and knowing, hey, this is important. These are areas where I can kind of help in. And even though I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to do it, or show me how to do it. I'm a hands-on person and I will learn it moving forward. And so because I took on that challenge to go work in tech, it really helped me really solidify those limits that I had on myself. Because when I tell you, it is not easy going into tech from 11 rounds of interviews to then being in a space where you feel like an imposter to then learning new things and working around so many amazing people that have had, these high level jobs, like working at the White House was huge for me, and imposter syndrome is real. So coming from that space and then going back into the industry really helped me, I feel, gain more of an advantage of being a team player versus the known fact of being in an industry where everyone tries to step on each other to just kind of continue up a ladder. And Philip tells me this all the time. He's like, the way you work is so based on working at Meta. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, because you came from a space where people are not trying to one up. We all come together and say, okay, even though you're an assistant, even though you're an engineer, we're all a team and we're all working towards a common goal. Nobody needs to step. No one's better than anyone. Yes, some people have more longevity, but we're all a team. So we all just need to work together. And I believe we had that conversation, right? Yep. On having that culture where, okay, even though we're a certain team that is solely providing services for a platform, we're combined with another team. Like, how can we all just work together to understand that we're working towards a common goal at the end of the day? Yes or no? Yes. Right. And so because of that, I feel like it continues to drive me to know that, okay, my experience is helping, even though I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to be honest. I don't. I'm like, but I'll learn. That drives me to continue to be the best version of myself.
Do y'all see why I said no one could do this job like her? Like, this mindset is amazing. Like, you are the oil that keeps us going, Mariana, like, seriously.
Thank you. But no, I learned a lot from you, though. Honestly, I will say this, because not having PR experience and coming from like a programming background or temp polls background or administrative background, I had imposter syndrome myself just being on this team, because my immediate team, my smaller team, you guys are rock stars, like amazing work ethic and the knowledge and the mindset to know, and everything that comes so second nature to you was really important for me to absorb it.
So this is the Light Shine podcast. So I have to ask you, how are you letting your light shine?
Ooh. I would say I'm letting my light shine through continuing to fulfill my purpose and finding the right way to help others. I've been able to find a purpose in myself to know that even though this is just a job, I'm still helping someone, whether it's a teammate, whether it's a team overall, whether it's a network. What can I do to help my team so that we all strive towards that same goal?
Okay, you mentioned you wanted to work in tech just because you saw the movies, but did you find actual purpose in that job? And if not, where do you find your true purpose in life outside of helping the team at work?
I want to say yes and no. Yes, and it helped me understand what my purpose was, but no, I did not find my purpose while I was there. And as I've gotten older, I feel like I've found my purpose. And it is really helping others, but understanding where they can be helped. Not just saying, oh, well, I bought you lunch or I bought you a coffee. That's not help. Helping is really understanding what people's pain points are, what hurts them, and where you can come in as a person and know, hey, I see you. What can I do to make this situation better? And leaving that role and going down what I would consider one of the worst moments in my life, and being down so bad where I had to surrender everything because I was really forcing something that I knew wasn't for me, applying to multiple jobs and, trying to find my purpose. Leaving Meta, being unemployed, and being really down on my luck and who I was as a person because I identified with my career was really hard for me. It was a huge turning page for me to really understand how I was building my relationship with God, because it was hard for me. It was dark. And in addition to that, not only was I going through my own stuff, but I also have external things that were coming at me. My brother, my family, my relationship with Philip. There was so much that I was trying to navigate, but then also identifying with, well, I don't have a job, so I'm nobody. I'm nothing. I don't have anything. Who am I? Like, what are people thinking about me? What do people say about me? Nobody wants to hang out with me. I don't have any money. And it was really hard to understand why I was in that position. And they do say when you're going through your darkest hour is when you'll realize, hey, you know, maybe you need to really find your purpose and surrender everything to God so you can understand why you're here. And it was hard. Like, I had to really see it through because, and I will say this to add to that, Philip was one of my driving factors, and I don't want to cry about it because this man has been like the biggest blessing in my life in disguise, because you go through seasons with partners, and we've been through ups and we've been through downs. And sometimes people may say, oh, what a perfect couple. Far from perfect. We're best friends, 100%. We had to be best friends first before knowing that we want to take this next part in our life. So when I was really down and really bad, when I'm telling you, this man had so much on his back and he was picking me up along the way, it was so hard for him. It helped me understand, wow, how can I be there for him when he's there for me? And in that moment, I was able to understand, this is my purpose. How can I help this man that has done so much for his family, for other people, for me? And I was just a girlfriend at that time. I wasn't a fiance.
Peep it.
And to understand that and to surrender what I thought, oh, I need to work at Google, I need to work at Amazon, or I need to go to Netflix, and I need to go to Disney. To really let go of that and detach from that, I had to find myself and find my purpose. And him being by my side really helped me identify that. And when he came to me, he said, hey, you know, you're really good at doing this, this, and that. Can you help me with my business? I was very like, and I'm being honest.
You didn't want to?
I didn't want to.
Because you wanted a big name job.
Yes, I wanted a big name job. And because I identified with that. And because we identify with our external facade and what we've worked so hard for, it was hard for me to detach from that. And he helped me through that. And he said, you know, just help me in the meantime while you find your next job. And I said, okay, you know, what do you want me to do? I learned how to copyright for this man. I learned how to do SEO, how to bring his website up. Like, there was so much that needed to be done to run a successful business that a lot of people don't understand. And because I took on that challenge, I told myself, oh, well, I can do this. And seeing how much it helped him to really also open his eyes and in the struggles that he was going through helped me. Because what's that saying when they say, you don't understand, when you're helping someone, you don't understand how it's helping you. There's this saying, I need to go and find it. And that's what was happening to me, was because I had this ego where, well, no, I'm interviewing right now. At that time, I think I was interviewing at Apple. I was on like my 4th rounds of interviews, and he came to me and said, hey, you know, can you help me? And I'm like, my ego was really attached to that identity of work. Looking back at that version of myself, I really do get the ick. I'm not gonna lie, because it's ugly. It's ugly to be attached to an ego and to this perception of yourself because you do identify with work, and knowing that is that was my problem. Like, I get the ick looking back at that version of myself because that was my problem, not surrendering that, hey, this isn't for me and I need to understand that. And I learned the hard way. And so while I was helping him build and continue to get to where he was at, it really helped me understand, wow, like, this was way better than I could have ever imagined.
I feel more fulfilled.
100%. And we grew closer. Our relationship as partners grew way closer than it had ever been. And so close that when I did get a job to go back at the top of last year, like, we had such an emotional attachment that it was hard for us to let go. Like, crying, literally crying, like, no.
Because at that point you were working on his business
Yes.
all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the background, you were still applying. You still were like, all right, this feels good, but I don't want to do it full time.
Right. Yes. And, you know, I beat myself up in the back now because I feel like if I would have continued, he probably would have been at another level. But I know that everything happens for a reason. And so Philip says this all the time. Fast success builds ego. Slow success builds character.
We got to have Philip come sit on the couch.
When I'm telling you,
'Cause what? Say that again. Say that again.
fast success builds ego. Slow success builds character. And this man has character. I saw this TikTok that said, when you see all these couples posting, oh, my man this, like, we know you're not happy because, girl, why are you posting your man? You're trying to give him up to somebody? All the while, I'm like, nobody can see my man. Like, no, he's a good man, okay?
That's
like,
a good man, Savannah.
yes, that's a good man. No, don't. We're doing fine, you guys. We're doing fine. And then I pop out, hey, I'm engaged.
Didn't nobody even know she was in a relationship, apparently.
happily and he told me the other day, he showed me this video that said the best marriages are built on having a great friendship with your partner. And understanding the underlining of that for me was, wow, like, I learned all of that when I was at my lowest, like how we built such a great foundation as partners and became best friends. And so to the point where we laugh, and it's not all about what people see online. It really is what's in your home, and how what is that saying? You can really tell how a woman is treated by the way she looks. And every time I show up, I'm like, I get told, oh, you're glowing. I'm like, thank you.
Because you're not stressed out at home.
Exactly.
I love that for you. And I love the whole, like, starting out as friends thing. I'm like over here feeling convicted because I be trying to rush people. Like 3 months in, I'm like, you're not trying to marry me yet?
No.
Like, what? It's been 3 months. A man knows early on.
They do say that, right? A man knows the moment he meets his woman that this is going to be the one I want to marry. And so I know that your Prince Charming is coming.
Me too. But listen, I don't have no time for him right now. So
exactly, because this
God
podcast
knows.
is #1 on Spotify and Apple
and YouTube.
and YouTube. Okay.
I want to step back into something you said about identifying with your job, because this seems to be a recurring theme on the podcast. Like, multiple people have had this issue, and I'm kind of realizing that, like, maybe I did too, because I'm finally hitting a wall with my job to where I'm in this space of I don't care.
Ooh.
Not I don't care about my job, because I mean, I'm still going to show up and
Right.
bring 110%. It's just like, I don't care about all the Hollywood stuff anymore. I don't need to be on every red carpet. I don't need to be at every event, every mixer. I don't need to be networking, because I'm in a space where I'm just like, God has me, and whatever is for me is for me. I don't want to force anything. I don't want my identity to be tied to this and that. I'm stealing this from someone else that we work with, but my goal is to be the chief communications officer of heaven.
Oh,
Like,
I've never heard anybody say this.
I was at a dinner last night, and I was telling the person I was at dinner with, I was like, at the end of the day, like, I'm just trying to be God's publicist. And they were like, "Ooh, put that in your bio, put that in your IG bio." So I need to go put it in there. But when you ask me what do I feel like my purpose is, or what do I want to do ultimately, like, I want to be God's publicist. I want to use this platform, have conferences one day across the world. We're going to take this global. I just want to spread the word of God. I want to inspire people by sharing my testimony, by creating a platform like this for other people to share their testimonies, because people out there watching, I mean, this is how I started. I started this podcast because I was looking at other people doing podcasts, looking at other people doing YouTube videos about where they came from and where God is taking them. And the more I listened to them and also spent time with God, where he was telling me, you need to do it too, they made it seem more attainable. So it's just the principle of like exposure.
Absolutely. And I will add to that, because coming into this job, right before it is when I was towards my lowest moments. And one of those moments where I surrendered myself, I had asked God, like, can you help me form a closer connection to you? And, you know, if this means removing certain people from my life, please do so. If this means connecting me with others, please do so. Just anything at that point. And that's all I did was just pray. I have this beautiful Bible on the side of my nightstand with the cross, and I just prayed and didn't know what was going to come out of it. I surrendered as much as I could. Everything that was out of my control, because I was trying to control my narrative all the time, not realizing that's not what God wants for me. And I need to understand that. And it was hard for me to understand, because this ties to really identifying what we do with what we do in our external life, not realizing it wasn't fulfilling me inside, and I didn't have a purpose. And because of that, it brought me to you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I told you this. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was be on a podcast. And now I'm here. And another one before the podcast was to get closer to God, or at least be surrounded with people who have that authenticity and that genuine just being and soul. And you said this in your second episode. I got rid of so many things in my home, just in general, whether they were little crystals or other things that weren't supposed to be in my home. And I stripped clean on a lot of stuff and only left my rosaries, my cross, which I have one, and my Bible. We have two. And from there on out, I seriously feel like having that disconnection and really understanding, at the end of the day, only person, only spiritual being, soul, creator of this earth is God. Yeah. So I cannot be sitting here thinking that I'm controlling this. No, I need to just understand that. And when I did that, so much beauty came out of that. And this leads me to my next thing, which is finding my purpose through God. It was really hard, because I sat there in dark days. Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? Why am I on this earth? What is my reasoning? What's my purpose? I don't have a job. I don't have anything. Why am I here? And going through those dark moments helped me get to where I'm at now. And not realizing, wow, I'm back in a space where I was 6 years ago. Why am I back here? And not really understanding that. And now looking at it from a bigger picture, I'm like, wow. It's one of those like...
Why do you think that you're back? Or why do you know that you're back? If you're open to sharing.
Absolutely. I love to write. And ever since I was little, I had always told myself, I'm going to write a movie one day and I'm going to act in it. And I'm going to write this one day. I'm going to write a book. Didn't know what I was going to write about. Just always have these ideas. But I knew it in the back of my mind, like A+, English honors, loved it, was like my favorite class, just learning so much, literature, everything.
I didn't know you liked to write.
Yeah, just, it's so fun. I wrote Philip's website. And so knowing that and always having that subconsciously kind of registered in my mind throughout my entire life. Not really understanding why, just I know I love it. And sometimes I'll find myself writing long paragraphs, just being, I'll just keep going. It's a run-on sentence for me because I love to write. Now that I'm back in a space that can help me write my story, has helped me identify my purpose. And that is my brother. My older brother is currently in prison, serving a life sentence. I have to start by saying this because it's really important for people to understand that I'm not saying what he did was okay. What I'm saying is that the time that he was given doesn't fit the crime that was done. And that has been one of the hardest things to live with as a person, as a family member. And one thing that doesn't get talked about is the pain that the families go through, losing a loved one to the system that is not set up for us, and having to live with that, knowing that there is no end in sight, losing hope, living with that pain and those emotions, knowing that he's suffering was really hard for me because this happened when he was 16 and I was 15 years old. It's 20 years ago. And seeing how badly the system did him, essentially, has finally helped me understand what it means to help someone in my purpose. And it's telling his story. What happened to him was so hurtful. Like, there are so many core memories of me visiting him in prison and seeing the pain in his eyes and everything that he went through, knowing that he made a mistake that cost him his life, essentially. Those core memories literally go with me everywhere because it's so hard to live with the fact that, yeah, he did something wrong. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not saying he's innocent. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. But he's in there for life. You just literally take the key and they threw it out. And that's like the hardest pill that I literally have to swallow every day, is knowing that he's in there because of a tiny mistake he made when he was 15 years old, 16 years old. It's hard to know that he's suffering in there for others' mistakes and, that system that's just not set up for us. And now that I'm wiser and that I'm older and understand why I'm back in this space that can help me tell his story, I've found my purpose to know that I'm going to advocate for him and help him tell his story, because it was not right what happened to him. And it hurts me. It still hurts me till this day, knowing that he's still suffering and we're so close to the finish line. They do say you'll go through your darkest hour right before your biggest blessing. And I have to remind him that every day, that I'm so proud of him that he didn't let the system, take over him. He has a really good behavior, like a record, being 20 years in prison, no tattoos, none of that. And I have to remind him, I'm proud of you. Keep going strong. Like, I know it's not easy. And just have to remind him, because the moment you let them fall and lose hope, like, you can lose your loved one. And that is the battle that I've dealt with. I've reached out to so many organizations, back to like 2013, so many organizations with no end in sight, no responses. I even reached out to the mayor, to the governor, everybody you can think of, with no response.
So how have you kept this hope alive?
Wow, it's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. I don't know, just knowing. I don't know, something in my soul, something that I truly believe God spoke to me and said, don't lose hope. Like, he was going to come home one day. And just knowing that, having dreams that he was home, walking me down the aisle to marry my best friend, and knowing that that is not his end all. Like, he is not going to die in prison. And just never accepting that. I feel like that was what helped me drive that hope, was never accepting that he was going to remain in prison his entire life. Like, there are so many new laws that have changed in the state of California that breaks my heart, knowing that there are families being affected by murderers that no longer get life sentences. But yet you have my brother who is in there, again, not condoning anything that he did, but still understanding that the crime doesn't fit the time, and really knowing that, really being that person for him to never lose hope. And by doing so is visiting him, like the system, when your loved one goes to prison, they usually don't allow them to be within like a living range. So visiting him was always like 2-3 hours away, going at least once a month, sometimes even once every other month, because schedules get busy as you get older, but just never letting him down. What happens a lot, and what he's told me before, is that there are a lot of inmates in there where their families forget about them. And he would always tell me that, and it helped me because I never forgot about him. Like, it was one of those moments where those core memories take you back to the day it happened, the day he was sentenced, knowing that it was only me and my dad showing up to his court dates. And being his support system, I feel like, has helped me. And this goes back to, how are you helping someone not realize, like when I'm helping someone not realizing that it's helping me? And by showing up for him, going to his visitations, taking his calls, and making sure I was there for him, essentially helped me not lose hope. And knowing that one day he is going to come home, because justice has to be served. I cannot just allow this and say, okay, this is it. There's nothing we can do. No, I'm older. I'm wiser. I have the resources now to know what happened to him was not okay. And his story needs to be told, because there are so many other people out there going through the exact same thing. And that breaks my heart to know that if I can have a voice and be in a space that can help me with that, I will do that for him. It has nothing to do with me at the end of the day. I'm like, this is all for him. Like, everything that he suffered and how badly the system failed him is really important, because it doesn't get talked about, in addition to what the families go through.
Whew. Yeah. How do you plan to help tell his story?
I want to make a documentary really explaining what happened, and then also understanding the law. He tells me, he's like, it's okay, like, I'll be home soon. And I'm like, no, what do you mean it's not okay, everything you went through? Like, it was really hurtful. And so I'm borderline in either a movie or a documentary. But I feel like a documentary would fit best first, and then a movie. And also really outlining, like, what led up to that decision that he made to be at the wrong space in the wrong time, the wrong influences. So to end on that note, I would say I would love to tell his story and from there build for him, because when he comes home, because I know he's going to come home, he wants to give back by going to speak to the juvenile system to let them know this is not the life you want. You will literally make one mistake and your entire life will be taken away from you. You will be influenced. You will be at the wrong place at the wrong time, like what happened to him, and your entire life will be taken away. Your family is going to suffer and you will have no end in sight. So I want to help build that for him and tell his story so that he can have his journey and live his life and his purpose. So if I can be that person to help him with that, I will. And I am. And so I feel like that's why I'm back in this space, because I didn't know this, but someone that sits on the other side of me is a writer.
Shout out to Renee.
Yes. Renee is a writer. I'm coming to you. And we're surrounded by so many people who are in this industry that want to build, right? And yet here I am back in this space where I want to tell. And so how can we create those relationships to continue to build our story, our personal story? And that's where I'm at now.
This is so good, because it goes back to what I was saying earlier, the whole like Hollywood of it all. That part doesn't matter, but we are in our positions to learn something bigger and to do something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
You're here so you can like learn what you need to learn for this documentary and make the connections that you need to make in order for this documentary. And you're also a publicist now, so you also know how to publicize your documentary and what needs to be done when it's finished being produced.
Right. So it's not a coincidence that I'm back. I know
Correct.
why I'm back. And now I need to really understand, because I was in this space before where I had all these amazing relationships, never knew why I was here. I just loved it. It was the glitz and the glam, and wow, we're in Hollywood and it's another award show and we're surrounded by so many amazing people, and then still not feeling fulfilled. Yep. Still not finding your purpose. And now I'm back full circle and knowing, wow, I'm in a space where I'm creating more authentic relationships, meaningful relationships, and knowing that essentially all of this is going to help me to continue to connect with my purpose and my calling, and knowing that it's helping others at the same time.
Yeah. This is so good because, I mean, look, this was me too when I first started too. You're at the BET Awards, you're at the red carpet, and you just got the phone out just so you can post on your story that you were there. But at the end of the day, what are you doing to make the world a better place, and how are you using your current position and your current connections in order to further that? Because God doesn't have you in these spaces so you can take a picture and post it on your Instagram. At the end of the day, we're just all trying to flex, or we were just all trying to flex.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest, I'll speak for myself then. That's what I was trying to do.
I was doing the same thing. Go look at my IG from 2019 or even beyond that. All of it was, wow, I'm here. I'm at the VMAs. I'm here. Yeah, wow, look at me. Or now I want to do makeup, and now PR, and I have this and packages and all of that. I went through that dark time to understand that, because I was always trying to identify with, well, I need to go here and I need to do this and I need to do. No, Mariana, you don't. You need to understand why you're here, because you keep asking. So here is everything you need to know. And I'm so glad that it happened the way it did, because I'm wiser in understanding that. And I'm more mature to know that, wow, I am in a better space. And I believe I've told you this before. I don't take anything personal. I just know that, okay, if it happens, it happens. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with that person. And I take it with a grain of salt and I move on. If it's not helping me, then I have to let it go. And knowing that, I feel, has really helped me come back into this space, not take anything personal, understand why I'm here, fulfill my purpose, make the connections, and keep moving forward.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You have told me that you don't take anything personal, because I've apologized to you a couple of times, because I'm like, I'm sorry, girl. I get spicy sometimes, and it's not towards you. I'm just neurodivergent, and I think I have ADHD. So like things come across a little harsh sometimes, but I promise I don't mean it. And you're always like, girl, I'm not thinking about that.
No, I'm not. And and Philip helped me with that, because when I tell you I used to take things very personal back in the day, oh, we would probably fight.
How did he help you with that?
He reads a lot of books, and he's helped me just understand that I can't really jump to assumptions quickly, and know that whatever happens in my external life, just know not to take it personal, and understand that has everything to do with them and nothing to do with me. I have to go to him for advice, because that helps me essentially. And knowing that constructive criticism is always good. And so sometimes I'll sit there and I have to reevaluate certain situations and know, okay, if this isn't helping me, I need to understand that. And if it's not bettering me, I need to just let it go. And I can't continue to give my time, to certain things and my efforts that are essentially not fulfilling that purpose and not making me happy and not having my cup full. Taking things personal affected me in my life in a very hard way.
How?
Because you hold on to that like negative energy because you feel some type of way about a situation, and then that lingers on. That then creates a ripple effect of assumptions, of scenarios, and you got to let it go. And that was me back in the day. I had a bad attitude. I had an attitude. I took things personal. I was very judgmental. I was very unhappy. I mean, I'll show you a photo of what I look like. And looking back at all of that has really helped me, because now I don't take things personal. I'm happier. I feel like I'm fulfilling that purpose. And so, practicing not taking things personal has really helped me. And that's helped me through Philip, through books, through advice, constructive criticism, and knowing that, you just feel lighter. You don't have to carry any of that stuff. Like, you know what? Just keep going.
And I know this is scientific, but when you carry like stress and negativity in your body, like it actually physically manifests in sickness.
Yes. Have you ever heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza? Oh yeah. He talks about that. Like really letting that go, and like being negative. Like let's say there's a seminar that he has where if you're diagnosed with, an illness or something, and you continue to feed to it instead of knowing, you know what, I'm going to find the resources, I'm going to heal my body. Like, that is real. And that goes back to, yes, being negative and carrying that, all of that does affect you internally.
Yeah.
It's
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What are some books that helped you get over this?
One of them was Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm blanking on the name of the book because it belongs to Philip. And I will give that to you right here because I'm giving it to you. That book took me, I think, almost 2 months to read. And it helped me really understand the brain and knowing that if you continue to let external things affect you, that will essentially affect everything in your body, your illness, how you look, everything, your youthfulness, everything. And that goes back to not taking things personal. So if I don't have to attach to that and I don't have to continue to carry that with me, I won't.
This is really helping me because literally last night, and I was going to make a TikTok about this, but I was like, I'm able to like let go of things very easily. Like when things happen in my life where I'm hurt or I feel like someone wronged me, and this is recently, I've been able to let go of those things so quickly. And I was wondering, I was like, wow, I don't really connect or bask in anything too long. But then I was like, does that mean that I'm healed or that I need help? Like should I be thinking about this, or is the fact that I'm letting it go, is that good? But it sounds like it's good.
It is good. You're practicing that. And as the more you continue to practice that, the less you will take things personal, the more you will be happier to know that your cup is full and you're not continuing to lower it with negativity and lingering on things that literally are just affecting you.
Yeah, because my mama said I'm just detached. I said, that doesn't sound positive, but I'll take it.
And sometimes it's good to detach from those external situations that essentially affect us.
Yeah.
Yeah, detach from that. If it's not filling your cup and giving you love, let it go.
Throw it away. How would you describe your relationship with God?
That's a hard question. It's a hard question for me because I know my relationship with God. And even though I don't find myself going to mass every Sunday, or I haven't found that space for me, I have my relationship with God. And to me, it's really hard to explain it because I've been in so many spaces where, you know, I'm surrounded by people that constantly preach the Bible or that constantly judge or gossip, and you then start to question, am I doing something wrong? Like, am I the bad person here? Like, God, what am I doing wrong? Because how am I surrounded by all of these people that constantly preach the word, but yet are gossiping and are, you know, talking about me, making up lies and going behind my back and judging me constantly for every little thing I do? I don't know what's going on here. And so I would love to say that I'm still working on that. And I'm still working on perfecting my relationship with God, because it's not easy to let go of everything and surrender and know God's got me. That's not easy. And I've known and learned that the hard way. I'm still working on creating a stronger relationship with God, which essentially also brought me to you.
It brought you to me.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the only person that I know that you don't try to push anything on me. You're being yourself, and God talks through you to me, and you're not pushing your narrative on me. You're just being your true self. You're being authentic to everything that we've said and everything that we've talked about, and knowing that God's got me. And it feels so genuine. And Philip and I have talked about that, where you sometimes you're in a space where you don't realize you're not supposed to be, and God will completely remove you from that and put you in, isolate you so that you can understand it, and then move you into a better space, and so that you can be that good version of yourself and understand He has a purpose. And that's where I'm at, working and continuing to create a stronger relationship with God. And I'm grateful because now I have a relationship with you, and we talk about this from time to time when we're at work, and you've messaged me about my brother, and all of that has really resonated with me, and really has really helped me, honestly, like to know that, wow, now I understand when people say God spoke to me and He's speaking through me. I never understood that. Like, truly, honestly, I've never understood that until most recently. I'm like, wow, lying about my age 32 years later. And I'm finally understanding this. We all believe, wow, we all have this narrative. This is my relationship with God. And mine was always, okay, well, I have my rosary and I pray. Like, I'm good. Like, thank you, God. And I'm grateful. Not realizing I was attached to ego. I was attached to my job. I had all of these external things affecting me, knowing that at the end of the day, none of that matters. And it's okay.
How did you realize that you were struggling with ego and all these other things? Like, did God speak to you, or how did you realize that this was a problem?
Yeah, he spoke to me through Philip.
Wow.
Philip has been my saving grace. Like, he really spoke to me through him, because I had to really look at myself in the mirror and know this is not it. This is not demure at all. It's not cute. It's not pretty. Like, you really have to look within yourself. And I feel like I had to cleanse my soul in a sense to know that, like, everything, my beliefs and everything that I was attached to, I had to let that go and know that what Philip was helping me with and guiding me through was essentially helping me know that, okay, I have to let that go. And when he told me, I believe I didn't tell you this. Do you remember that Kingdom Business premiere you guys had at the
at the TV Academy?
At the TV Academy? I was there.
So crazy.
Right. That night, Jess invited me and she's like, hey girl, come through. Like, I want to see you. We were supposed to have dinner that night, but instead I went to the event. And I'm like, cool, I'm looking for a job. I'm still trying to figure things out. Like, yeah, I'll go. Not realizing it was the show Kingdom Business. Not realizing Kirk Franklin was going to be there doing his, doing a quick
little concert,
a gospel concert. No idea. I just thought, oh, this is a cool show. What's it about? So I went to the screening, to the premiere, not realizing it was about, a family in music that had a gospel record label. So as I'm driving home, great event, by the way. As I'm driving home, I called Philip and I'm like, hey, the event went great. Like, I saw a few people. They said they have a few openings. Like, can you believe that the show was about, it was a show about like this family that has like a gospel record label. And, and he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, like it's called Kingdom Business. Like, God. And he's like, are you serious? I said, yeah, why? He's like, because when you left, I prayed for you. And I said, I want your relationship with God to grow stronger. And I started crying because I was going through it at that time. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, why would you tell me that? He's like, no, this is great. Like, I didn't know that was the event you were going to. I thought you guys were just, another show, something that you guys normally do. And I'm like, no, like the way all of that connected, realizing that is not a coincidence. God was speaking to me through him, and it led me there. And I didn't even meet you that night. No. And we were in the same space.
We were. That's so crazy. I mean, the fact that then God led you back to BET, where you and I are on the same team, and I'm real churchy. Yeah. But that's something even I had to wrestle with, because it's like, should I be vocal about my faith in a workspace? Like, is that unprofessional? I don't want to offend anybody. And that's something I had to get over about not caring if I offend anybody, because I'm going to be who I am and who God told me to be.
But you don't push your narrative or your belief. You just speak your true, authentic self. And that's different. Being in the same space as someone who's not trying to push their belief and their narrative on you is different than just being who you are and knowing that, you're letting God speak through you.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in that. And I identified that immediately when I met you, because you were just being yourself. You were just talking to me. Yes, you had that boundary, but it was still very authentic to who you are and how you allow God to speak through you.
Girl, we can sit here and talk all night, but I will end this by asking you, what legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Whoa, that is, wow, I've never thought of that. Can I come back on episode 10? No, I'm just kidding.
You and Philip. If you're coming back, you got to bring Philip.
Oh man, he's a little shy. Wow, that is like a really tough question, because I want to make sure that I'm answering this like true to myself. No, I saw this video that said you'll never know how much you're loved, because sometimes people don't tell you. And I don't know. Like, sometimes I don't know how much I'm loved. I just go on trying to give as much love as I can. And I hope that would be my legacy, is that I loved as much as I could and I gave as much as I could without expecting anything in return.
Why am I crying?
Because that video made me cry when someone said, you will never know how much you're truly loved, because you don't. You know, based on the experiences, right? Like, oh, I love you from your mom, from your dad, from cousins, from brothers, sisters. But deep down inside, you don't know how much they actually love you.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, Mariana, thank you so much for coming to the Light Shine podcast today. You'll be back to promote your documentary when it's airing. I told her I was going to hold her accountable to this.
Absolutely. On Netflix. We're still working on the platforms, but Netflix is definitely it's going to come out on Netflix first.
Yeah. Speak it.
Yes, we're speaking this into existence. Netflix first. I'll be back to promote the documentary. But before that, I might bring Philip back so he can slide in here. And
yes, we need all of Philip's wisdom, because
yes.
you were dropping the bars. Okay, Philip has bars on bars.
He definitely does. I need to start making T-shirts for him.
Yes, look, that's another business, because I'll buy one.
Right? Oh man, yes, I will bring back. I'm gonna bring Philip to your podcast. I'm going to bring my brother to your podcast. We're going to promote the documentary. We're all going to come in as a family. Then we're going to be on your talk show.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Speak that into existence.
Exactly.
As well.
Yes. The autumn show.
I like that.
Or however you wish, but we're gonna swing by the studio to say, hey, we're promoting the documentary. I'm gonna send you a little pitch as a publicist and see if the producers pick it up, and then we'll take it from there.
Or whatever. You'll have a direct line to me. Tell the people how to find you.
That's right. TikTok, Instagram, Miss Mary literally is my tag on everything. So
no underscores, just Miss Mary.
_ Miss Mary on Instagram, and then Miss Mary 1 on TikTok.
We'll link it down below.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time.
Yes.